Okay, we've got the two bolts in the bottom to take out. They're Allen bolts, and this blade will then be released. So let's get rid of that first out of the way. Let's get them out of there. Be very careful not to drop them into the bottom of the crankcase. There's one. This should release that tensioner blade so we can have some more working space. There we go, one tensioner blade released, as you can see. One cam chain tensioner blade. Okay, I've taken the first two pistons off reasonably easily, but what I thought I'd do is I just thought I'd show you how we get to the gudgeon pins on the other two pistons. So what we do is we get our big spanner on the end of our crankshaft. In fact, we don't need the big spanner because it's not bad that. Right, you have to support the cam chain. You must support the cam chain and then just gently rotate, taking care to bring them two pistons up to the top like that. So now you can get access to the gudgeon pins. Okay, pair of pointed nose pliers. As you can see, these circlips can be a little bugger to get out. There we go. One circlip. Then all we do is push the gudgeon pin. Nope, it's not going to push out that way. So what we'll do is we'll take the clip out the other side and try and push it the other way. Remove the clip and push it. It should be a light sliding fit. There we go, look. Should be a light sliding fit, these pins. Nothing spectacular about them. Sometimes you just have to give them a little push. Very gently, like that. Out she comes. There you go. One piston, and then we push that pin back in and pop that in the relevant barrel. We slot the pistons in the relevant bore so they don't get mixed up, so the same piston goes back with the same bore. So while we're storing and cleaning, as you can see over there, I've just popped the pistons in the relevant bores, yeah, so they don't get mixed up. I mean, I'm not really bothered about contamination at the moment and cleanliness, because obviously I'm taking these apart and they're going to be absolutely immaculately clean when it all goes back together. Well, it has to be immaculately clean when it all goes back together. Okay, clip out. Oh, another little point as well. Don't ever reuse old circlips. New circlips every time. Okay, another piston out. Pop that in its relevant bore. Oh, just wanted to point out as well, these pistons have a mark on the head crown. I don't know if you can see that there. A mark on the crown. That arrow goes towards the exhaust port, the exhaust side of the engine. They aren't universal, they'll only go in one way. So that's it. That's the top end of the engine, stripped completely naked. Okay, there's nothing else to come off there. So what we need to do now is flip the engine over, which is reasonably easy to do. Just release the brake, turn it over carefully so we can get to the bottom of it. Put the bolts out. Quite often when you take the sump off an engine, it gives a really good indication of not only service intervals and how well it's been looked after, but it also gives a really good indication of the condition of the inside of the engine. Sludge and things like that can be a big problem. As you can see, that is not bad at all. It is reasonably clean. Okay. Look at the oil strainer, you'll see there's no signs of filings, metal filings or anything like that in there. That's always a good sign. So we take that off. There we go. That's again rubber. There we go. I can actually show you a strainer I took off another engine, just to give you guys out there some idea. That's one I took off another engine, and you can see there is signs of grit and detritus in there. So, you know, that's a really good indication of the condition of the inside of the engine and how well it's been serviced and looked after. Right, that's that off. Next thing's this oil pipe. Should just tease out. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, that's fine. Can't shift that. I think the rubber's binding. So, we'll just give it a helping hand. There we go. The rubber was binding. There we go. Okay. Oil feed pipe. Them two's your oil pump. That's the pickup pipe, which you saw with the filter on it. That bit with the filter on it's the pickup pipe. That's the high pressure side. That's the side where it goes to all the bits and pieces. I mean, obviously oil filter first and then all the bits and pieces. Yeah, you've got an oil pressure relief valve there. If the oil pressure for whatever reason gets too high, that valve will open, prevent gaskets and seals blowing. Okay, I think we'll remove the oil pump next, simply because it's easier to do it when the engine's in the mounting frame than it is to do it when the crankcase half is on the bench. I may be able to remove the selector gear as well. Let's have a look anyway. Turn it over and have a look. Okay, what we need to do now, we need to get the we need to release the oil pump. Right, okay, first things first. Circlip, pair of external circlip pliers. Release the circlip, as you can see there. Okay, slide the gear off, and there's a pin in the middle there. Take that pin out, then it doesn't get lost. Okay, now we've got 3 retaining screws. Okay, experience has taught me there's only one way to undo these. We use a correct size bit in a bit holder. Just give them a couple of taps like that. Pop your driver on, and there you go, it's out. Okay, let's get these other screws out. Like I said to you before, there's only one way to get these out when they're tight, and that's get you, just give it a couple of taps on there. Really good fitting screwdriver bit. There we are. I don't know whether you folks out there, you're aware, I think I showed in one of my other videos, difference between posi and the Japanese screws. But always make sure when you're doing out like this, you've got to a screw with a really good fitting bit, because it's a real headache if you round these off. A real solid, real headache. It's a real pain. A real royal pain in the buttock. Just got a little ledge there, I can just get that in. That's it. There we go. Got it. Right, there's your oil pump. Okay, so we'll just lift that out. And as you can see, there's lots to these oil pumps. It's 2 stages. Okay. And there's our inner rotor. And that's it. That's the inside of the oil pump. Okay, we've got that dreaded pin there again. I don't know if you can see that on camera there. That needs to come out very gently. There we go. Very gently, not damaging it. That's the oil pump out. Okay, so we're going to remove the gear selector mechanism. I think it'll be prudent to do it now rather than leaving it till later, so we'll undo that first. There we go. That's the selector plunger. What that does is it sits in these grooves that you can see there on the selector shaft, and when you select a gear it holds it in that particular gear. It's quite a strong spring. That it's quite a finger removing device, I suppose that could be. Right, so now we should be able to turn that now. There we go. So I just need to turn it just a tiny little bit. Not playing, is it? Okay, I need to get this shaft out. Need to get that shaft out. And to get that shaft out, I need to rotate that. There we go. Like that. And then we pull that back, and that shaft should push out. There we go. That's the selector shaft. That's a bit what your gear lever connects to. Right, okay. So them screws we loosened earlier. Take them out now. There's one. And my hand's in the way, isn't it? There we go, get that second screw out. So now you can see we've taken the 2 screws out. That plate comes off. Like so. Okay. Right, that's not only the retainer plate for the selector drum, but it's also the retainer plate for the 2 rods that hold the selector forks. There's one there and one there. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to swivel this round a little bit. Like that. You can see the gearbox there. Right, so what we need to do now is remove that selector drum, that shaft, and there's a shaft behind the selector drum. So I should be able to withdraw these shafts. As you can see, that's your selector drum. Look, you can see forks moving. I should be able to pull that out of there gently like that. Now you see that's freed that selector fork like that. That's one. That's one selector fork. That's the other selector fork there. Okay, and that's the shaft. Okay, so now we've just got the one to remove. There we go, there it comes. That selector shaft has cleared the selector fork, so now I can move that selector fork out of the way, and I should be able to slide the selector drum out, maybe, at a pinch. No, it's not plating. Okay, that's fine. There we go. Selector drum out. Bit of jiggling. There's your selector drum. Okay. There's the last selector fork in the bottom of the box there. There you go. And that's the selector shaft. Right. So that's the gearbox selector mechanism removed. Okay. So there's just, I can just see two things that need to come out now. One is the connection for the neutral light, and the other is the plug for the end of the selector shaft. So we'll take the neutral switch out first. That's nice. I've already loosened that. I know it's cheating a bit, but sometimes these things are tight and I'm frightened to death that if I don't loosen them first, when I try and undo them on camera, I'll end up whacking the camera with it being so close. So I didn't realise you couldn't see there, can you? You can't see very much there, can you? Let's lift it up a little bit. Oh, what a dickhead. There we are. Right, so that was in there. That's your neutral switch. Just taking that out of there. Okay, with a sealing washer. That's basically all the switches. That little thing on the end spring loaded. Yeah. Okay, and this one here, this little plug, is the end of the selector shaft. As you can see, that's had sealant on it, and it will have sealant on it when I put it back. You must put sealant on these things. Do the job right first time, and you don't need to come back a second time and correct your cock-ups. Right, and that's more or less where we are. That is it. We may be an advantage to remove the safety release valve before we go any further. Simply because it's easier to do it now than it is to do it later on, because obviously all these oil ways will need cleaning out. So if we do that first, there we go. Again, I believe previously when I've done these, I've had, yes, this has got sealant on it, some kind of thread locking compound. Let's see what the book recommends. So we take that out of there, like that. Again, you can see that's a thread locking compound on it. Okay, that's the pressure relief valve. I think we're there. I actually think we're there.